This is theFolksinger, and today we're going to look at some very basic guitar chords and how to walk between them in this first position. But before we do, let's make sure that our guitars are more or less in tune. So here's the E string, and here's the E, F, G, A string, A, B, C, D string, D, E, F, G string, G, A, B string, B, C, D, E string. The chords we are going to use are C major, and F major, we could play this F over here too, but we'll just use the upper one, and G major, which is the second, third, and fourth strings open, and the fifth and sixth string that way, and pinky up here. And just for good measure, we'll throw in a little bit later a D or a D7. But we're concerned about walking, okay? Now, we look at each chord, and then we look at the strings around the chord. So we take our C chord, and we develop a pattern of playing which is using the thumb for the C, and then 2 or 3 fingers to pick some of the other strings or to arpeggiate some of the other strings. So we have something like this. We can make this the 5th note with the index finger, or we can move the thumb over and do what's called double thumbing. Here's the finger, here's the double thumbing. I'm going to do both of them because I hardly ever think about which one I'm doing. We work out a pattern to play the C chord. And then we start thinking about walking the bass. Here's the C. Right below it is, on the same string, the B. If we take all our fingers off that string, we have the A. And then if we go to the next string over, we have the G just behind the 3rd fret. So if we go G, A, B, and then have our fingers ready for the C chord, then keep your fingers on that C chord, play it, and learn to weave into it that walking. There you could play your G chord. We'll get to that. But you could go back to the C. Now lift up your finger from the C again, and lift up your finger from where you're playing your E, and you have a D. And then if you play the E, and you have then an F, and you're ready to play your F chord. Now we have our C chord. We can walk down to the G, and we can walk from the C on the next string over to the F and get our fingers ready to play the F chord. So now if we have the C chord, we can walk down to the G and develop that same kind of pattern of strumming. So we use our thumb, and then we move our thumb over 2 strings this time to get the 5th note. We can do it with the 3rd note of the chord or the 5th note. So working from the C now, work down to the G, up to the C, to the F. So once we can play the sequence from the C down to the G, up to the C, we can of course go up to the F chord and do the same thing. If we want that double thumb, we'll go down with the 3rd finger of the left hand and use the thumb. So now we're ready to put them all together. So now that we've got our C and our F and our G, we can start at the C and walk down to the G, keeping that arpeggio back up to the C, back up again to the F, and down to the C, and down to the G, and we can do it forever, of course, if we're practicing. And we can move our 3rd finger to get just the G note into the C chord, the low G. One more thing we'll do, and that is to add a D, so if we want to change the key, we can play in a different key. We add a D chord. We can now play from the C to the G, back to the C, up to the F. So we can play songs in the key of C. So if we're singing like, "Oh, I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee, and I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me, 'cause I'm come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee." Now, if we add the D chord, if we learn the D chord, which is not so hard to play, it is the 2nd finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and then the 3rd finger of the left hand behind the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 1st finger behind the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and the 4th string we can play open. If we want to make that a 7th chord, we can lower it, change our fingers around just a little bit, and put our 1st finger down here. Okay? The value of that is if we are playing in the key of G, and we walk up to C, then we want D in our chord. So if we are singing "Oh Susanna" that way, "Oh, I come from Alabama with a banjo on mine, I'm going over to the D chord, knee, and I'm going to Louisiana, walk to the C, my true love, and then the D for to C. Oh, Susanna, while playing the C, back to the G. Don't you cry for, and I kind of half walked up to the D, E, and then I'm walking from the low E into the G to get the G chord. 'Cause I come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. So now you can play in two keys, the G and the C, walking the bass. And C.